Hey coaches, Ni Hao Ma. I just started learning my Mandarin, and hopefully every week I'll learn a little bit more and be able to communicate in a different way. So you can test me on it, and help me out with that. Great job this week. We're doing good, and we're progressing, and that's good. And seems like the kids are having a lot of fun, and hopefully you all are having a lot of fun. This week I want to talk to you about making a practice schedule, and we've had 3 weeks to look at my practice schedules, and you can always keep my template and use that if you'd like to organize your own practice schedules. I want to talk to you about the thought process that goes into it and how I develop my practice schedules. You've all seen my program booklet that has a list of drills, and I use a lot of those drills from that booklet, but everything that I pick, it's not random. There's a purpose and reason behind everything. There's an old training that I went through at a coaching school that talks about when you form a practice schedule, everything has to have a purpose. Every second of that schedule has to have a purpose, and you have to maintain focus. If you want to focus on the end result, which may be winning a game, which may be winning a championship, your practices need to have that structure and prepare your athletes to have that kind of focus. So if you waste time in practice, then your players are going to learn that habit of being unfocused and wasting time in a game. So we have constantly have to model what success is, and that comes from a practice schedule. And you'll notice on my practice schedule, I plan things down to the minute. So sometimes I'll write down 3 minutes, sometimes I'll write down 10 minutes. Every single minute in our practice is accounted for. And of course I leave some time for error. Sometimes I'll go over on a certain drill, sometimes I'll finish a drill a little bit faster. But I try to stick to that schedule as much as possible. In forming that schedule, everything is about progression. I go back. I have my practice schedules saved from the last 2 years, and I go back and I look at those practice schedules and see when we're on practice 15. I look at last year's practice 15, and I look to see if we're on the same spot, or if we're actually doing more, less, and where we were at last year as compared to this year, because we, as a program, we need to continue to progress. I look at the previous week's practice schedule to see what we did last week, and then see what we need to continue to improve on, and what we can move forward in developing this week. And you'll notice that each week we have progressed and done something different every single week. Last week we got to 2-on-2. We started with 1-on-1. We started becoming more skilled in scoring moves, so then we moved to 2-on-2 and started working on adding a teammate. This week we're going to add 3-on-3. In our drills, in the first week we worked on a lot of just individual coordination and ball handling, proper shooting. Week 2 we started moving forward into a lot more actually moving to the basket, individual scoring moves. We started working on spacing, and now this week we're gonna start working on how to get open, and then we're also gonna work on how to create an open shot for your teammates. So we're gonna start adding more team concepts. Our fundamentals are going to revolve around that end goal, is we want to be able to play team basketball, and we want to be able to be successful as a team, and not just be successful as an individual. In order to have a successful team, you have to have the right tools to be able to put together that fluid, that good running, high performance engine. And that's why we work on all these individual skills, because we're building those correct tools. So your drills have got to be specific in exactly what you want to accomplish. I think about my Delot basketball team and the way that we progress as a team. We run an offense called Princeton, and the Princeton offense, it relies a lot on perimeter playmakers, perimeter guys being able to penetrate to the lane and being able to pass for open shots. So we train our perimeter players to be really good offensive ball handlers and to be able to penetrate left or right. So we work a lot on ball handling, probably more so than a lot of programs. And all of our basketball players on our team are really good ball handlers. That's something that's important for us, so that's something that we put a lot in our practice schedule. We get a lot of 45-degree three-pointers and a lot of corner three-pointers, so we put that into practice and we work those repetitions over and over and over again. One mistake that I see a lot of coaches doing is they waste a lot of time in practice. I had a coach last year that asked me when he came to Delot, asked me, how do you fit in everything that you need to teach into a practice schedule? And so I asked him, well, describe to me what your practice schedule is. And he said, well, we spend our first 10 minutes going through a dynamic warm-up to get stretched out, and then we go through a shooting drill, and then we work on some defense and some team stuff, and then we spend our last 15 minutes doing conditioning and sprints. And when I heard that, I immediately started thinking, so basically you have 1 hour and 30 minutes for practice, and you spend 25 minutes of that, almost a half hour, on wasted time of stretching and doing conditioning. And I said everything needs to have a purpose towards your goal, and the stretching, you can train your schedule and your athletes that the stretching portion of it should happen before practice, in pre-practice. As soon as practice happens, everything is about the team, about improving. The conditioning at the end, why can't you do the conditioning with a basketball in your hand, trying to get develop something specific like transition offense or transition defense? My basketball teams are in great shape, and every kind of conditioning we do is always with a basketball. So make sure that when you create a practice schedule, everything has a purpose and progresses towards your goal. We'll talk more about this in our meeting on Sunday, 1 p.m. Hopefully everybody gets there early so that we can go through some common practice drills, and I can answer questions on specific needs. You may see a need for your team and want to know what drills are best for that, and I'll answer those questions and show you some great drills that you can use in your team practice. Okay? We'll talk more, and I'll see you Sunday.